Did you know your brain would rather be miserable in a familiar story it knows rather than happy in one that is unknown? It's not a metaphor, it's biological. That old limiting narrative you've been carrying, your brain holds on to it, not because it's good for you, because it's familiar and predictable. When you try to shift your identity, your brain doesn't recognize it as growth, it registers it as a threat. Something's different, something's unfamiliar, and that's enough to set off the alarm. When you know this, everything else starts to make sense. The story you've been living, even the crappy one, your brain has mapped every neural pathway around it. It knows that story. It can predict what happens next, and it would rather stay in predictable misery rather than take the risk and step into an unknown joy, because at least the terrible, painful drama has a map. This is where it gets interesting because every time you've tried to change and it doesn't stick, every time you told yourself, this never works for me, you were focused on the wrong issue. You were treating it like a willpower issue or that's how life is issue when it's actually about safety. Your brain sees the old story as a known entity. It can predict the ending, but a new identity is uncharted territory. And to your brain, unpredictable means threatening, not metaphorically, biologically. This is lizard brain territory. The same circuitry that keeps you away from physical danger fires up when you try to become someone new. So when you beat yourself up for falling back into old patterns, you're essentially getting angry at your brain for doing exactly what it has evolved to do. Here's where a lot of the noise gets it wrong. It tells you to push harder, think positively, just decide to be different. Try this technique, try that one. You cannot out-discipline a survival mechanism. That's like yelling at a smoke alarm for going off. The habit is the alarm, and the old identity underneath it is the fire. Your brain ultimately wants coherence. And the real question is whether you're willing to reprogram your brain, because rewiring doesn't happen through force. It happens through repetition of a new narrative over time. You give your brain a new script, one that's safe enough to predict and compelling enough to adopt, and you run it until the pathways shift. That's the life rewrite system. You're not fighting your brain, you're teaching it a better map. Now that you know this, you cannot ignore it, and that's where everything starts to shift. The old story isn't your identity, it's just the map your brain has been using, and you can draw a new one. So here's your practice. Catch yourself one time when you fall back into that old pattern. Don't judge it, just notice it and ask, what story is my brain trying to protect right now? That's when the magic happens.